How I'm building with $0 down and no excuses. How I'm building a digital business. $0 down, no excuses. None. Zip. Zero. Some of the things that really matter is grit and clear vision. Over the past few months, I've built a digital brand and revenue streams without spending a single dollar upfront and without giving myself any excuses. I started by choosing free platforms like Substack for email newsletters and YouTube for video content because they let me own my audience, IP. They let you own your audience from day one. Each week, I send a newsletter sharing wins, lessons learned, and great next steps. I record short, authentic videos on my phone under natural light. Well, sometimes you get like really good lighting. Of course, you want good production. Whenever someone watches a video, I invite them to join my Substack for deeper guides, and as a result, I'm growing an audience of engaged readers and viewers. With an audience in place, the next step is monetization. Was monetization. I created a $7 PDF guide on personal development. It's in the description. I drafted products from Google Docs. Yeah, get that $7 PDF guide. I think you'll like it. It's amazing. Good stuff. Part of it is like free anyway because like when I do these videos, I sprinkle some of that reflection, but like that was more of like a condensed, raw reflection of like how to level up in life. And I've taken examples from my own life and I've done it and I'm still doing it. And I continue to do it. So yeah, get that. I drafted products in Google Docs, exported them to PDFs, and uploaded them to Gumroad. There was no problem, no platform fees to configure, and no payment gateways to wrestle with. With other products, I priced low, tested fast, and then adjusted based on real feedback. Most of this works because I built systems to keep the gravy train going. My weekly workflow looks the same every week, creating predictable momentum that compounds over time. There's that word again, compounding. We mention that every week, I feel like, in some form or another. The foundation of everything I do rests on a few principles. Some of them are honesty, because transparency can turn casual viewers into lifelong fans who actually buy what you're selling. Second is consistency and showing up every week on the same day. Builds trust, so I never miss an email or video. Third is vision, where every piece of content, product, and reinvestment ties back into my end game of building a self-sustaining digital brand that funds global projects. When you know exactly where you're going, because decisions become easier, ask for clarity. The truth is, you already have everything you need to start. Pick one free platform, create momentum, create a minimum viable product like a PDF guide or a checklist. You do want to keep the momentum going too. Batch your work into a simple weekly schedule and share your process openly with your audience. Building a digital business with zero investment and no excuses comes down to focused action using free tools, ruthless reinvestment of every dollar you make, rock solid systems that run without you, and unwavering faith that builds real relationships. Now pick one platform, make one product, and let's get to work. So one thing I wanted to talk about actually is I still have my own website, and it's a little harder to start out just creating your own website. You probably should do that if you want just like all the payments and money for yourself. The position I was in, I just happened to start like the partnerships with like Gumroad, and I know they're going to take fees and stuff off the back end. I just wanted to set everything up and just get it out there. So like that was my choice. And then eventually over time, of course, we're going to, learn how to keep more and more of the money for ourselves and that kind of stuff. As far as the $7 PDF guide, we're gonna create more. This was just like a beginner one, that's why it's only $7. Eventually, we're gonna create like a $19 one, and we're gonna sell higher and higher ticket products. So that'll be great. I'm excited for that, to be around clients who have more money and who have more to give, because I have more to give. Honesty is something that I rest on. Transparency is another one. I made the decision a few years ago, a little while ago, to be transparent. Personally, I think I'm a pretty easy person to read. I make it pretty easy for people to, I try my best to make it easy for people to understand where I'm coming from and who I am. So I don't think it takes long for me to like, I don't think it takes long for people to figure out who I am. Like when I show up, I just kind of just like, here I am. At the same time, there is stuff you want to keep private, of course. I like to take my inspiration from people like Kendrick Lamar, people like Leonardo DiCaprio, who are very famous in the sense that like they make their personality their brand, and they have like their face out there. As far as like with Leonardo DiCaprio, he does movies, and with Kendrick, he does his rapping, and he's musician. But at the same time, that's what they're known for. When you think of Leonardo DiCaprio, you think of, oh, he does movies. When you think of so and so, it's like with Kendrick, you think of, oh, he does music. You don't think about the controversy. For example, if you mention like a Kanye West, or like such and such, that's kind of where I'm going with it. So I make it easy for people to understand who I am, what I'm about, but at the same time, there's this other part of my life that I keep private. For example, you'll never, yeah, you just got to learn how to do that. So that was nice. That was a nice little reflection that I wanted to get out. Consistency. So in another video, we talked about compounding and we talked about discipline. Those two things I learned from one of these, I won't say who it is, but it was from an influencer who, I paid for his course. I paid for their course, and at the end of it, I came out with more consistency and with more discipline. And I started to look, I'm a dreamer, so like I started to look at the world in a more hyper realistic way, and that's what this person taught me, and that's a blessing. It's like it's nice to have your head in the clouds sometimes, because you can dream, and you can be in your own little world. But at the same time, being hyper realistic and being like super grounded about the world and about your surroundings is very nice, because once you see where you're at and you see like reality for what it is, you can start to like, there's a lot of freedom in that. So I think that's something that I'll leave you with, is I challenge you, if you aren't already, to like try to be a little more hyper realistic about what's going on in your surroundings. And I think you'll be surprised that in that hyper realistic state, you can actually do a lot of things. I'll just leave it at that. I'll let you discover that for yourself. And actually, when you do use it for like maybe 2-3 days. Try to be like super hyper realistic about yourself and about the world around you, and then leave a comment about what you found, what your experience was. I think that'd be super interesting.